We have two customer related features that were merged in for this release. They had concerns about file rotation and they wanted a lot more granular control over how often um, they can rotate their OS query uh, logging destination. They use a file system log and they wanted more control over that. So internally we have a rotation mechanism, but those values that control it were hard coded. So really it's just bringing those to the surface, allowing customers to go set those individually. So these are the three new settings: max age, um, max size, max age, and max number of backups to keep. Again, these are only have an effect if the log rotation is enabled. So it's something they were curious about. And then also have a new vulnerability processing command on the fleet binary. Um, this command is related to vulnerability processing, as you can imagine. Um, Very similar to how you would run fleet prepare DB or fleet serve to serve the web server. This is fleet vuln processing, and this enables customers that have large, I mean, it's mainly targeted towards customers with very large deployments or like ourselves. We'll probably end up dogfooding this in Sandbox and later in Fleet Cloud to enable vulnerability processing outside of the internal scheduling mechanism that's built into Fleet. This is all completely opt-in, so it's something that the Fleet's just going to keep working the way it works now. But if you want, I added a new advanced configuration section in the vulnerability processing documentation that kind of describes why you'd want to do this, how you would do it, and then additionally, something that's not shipped yet, but I'm actively working on is building this, implementing this in our Terraform code. So what I'm kind of showing here is just a scheduled task that runs. I have it running quite frequently right now, just because I'm testing it. But this scheduled task runs, through the scheduling mechanism that's built into ECS and allows us to have a lot finer control over vuln processing. And the biggest thing that this enables is resource, like really frees up a lot of resources. The Fleet server, by just being an OS query API implementation, runs extremely lean. Probably on the order of like hundreds of megabytes of RAM. But because of vulnerability processing, those requirements get like kind of spiked quite a bit, inflated. But if you're using this external scheduling mechanism, you could run your massive fleet deployment where you have 40 replicas or 60 replicas, all load balanced behind some ingress, and those servers run very lean, and then you have this one really beefy, lots of resources dedicated to this single task that does all the vulnerability processing, and it's externally scheduled. So that's it for me.
That's for is that just for volume processing now? But that's kind of the same approach we could use for other scheduled jobs in the future, I guess, right, Ben?
Definitely, we could extract eventually all of the internally scheduled mechanisms into this this is the heavy hitter. So it made a lot of sense to do this one first, get it right, and get people using it.
Awesome.
Massive fleet deployments that are going to save literal tens of thousands of dollars on compute resources by adopting this process.